If we don't play at 100%, we won't win anything. That warning from Hansi Flick could mark the beginning of a crisis inside the Catalan locker room. But the question is, what is really happening behind the scenes? The team has had a shaky start to the season despite winning 2 games and drawing 1. Their style of play, lack of rhythm, and low intensity have left the club exposed, with many questions Flick must answer. Today, we're going to reveal the hidden story behind the 1-1 draw with Rayo Vallecano and Flick's explosion against his own team. He is furious. Stay until the end, because the answer may shock even the most loyal fans. Barcelona arrived in Madrid unbeaten, but what we saw in Vallecas was not the dominant Barca Flick promised. It was a lost, disorganized team, saved only by Joan Garcia, the new goalkeeper who pulled off miracles. A 1-1 draw. For many, just another slip. For Flick, a sign that something deeper was wrong. And that's when, after the final whistle, the German coach did something unusual. According to KT Jugas, Flick locked the dressing room for 25 minutes, a calm but firm talk. And the warning was clear. Without 100% commitment, there will be no trophies. According to the Spanish press, Flick didn't shout. He didn't bang on the table. He spoke softly, directly, and laid out the truth. The team is not as committed as before. Key players seem distracted. The situation surrounding Fermin Lopez, caught in constant speculation, has reportedly poisoned the locker room. And the lack of intensity had already shown up against Mallorca and Levante. Vallecas only confirmed it. The problem is, Flick knows this. Losing focus in September can cost you trophies in May. But perhaps the hardest blow came from where nobody expected. Íñigo Martínez. Planned as the defensive leader, Íñigo suddenly left for Al Nassr, and Flick's plan collapsed. He had counted on the Spaniard as a pillar, but now the defense looks leaderless. Christensen, who was supposed to leave, ended up staying, and that created a domino effect. Flick still doesn't have a fixed backline. The result? Disorganization, misplaced passes, and a team that crumbles against simple attacks, like Rayo's. And if you think defense is the only problem, wait until you hear about the chaos in attack. The midfield, Barca's engine, is weakened. Frankie de Jong and Pedri should control the rhythm, but against Rayo, they disappeared. No creativity, no intensity. Flick knows that without a dominant midfield, even the brilliance of Lamine Yamal can be wasted. On the wings, the situation seems clearer. Rafinha steady on the left, Lamine Yamal shining more and more on the right. But the central role? A mystery. Ferran Torres has a nose for goal, but failed to convince against Rayo. And Flick perhaps waited too long to bring in Robert Lewandowski. Yet Lewandowski, the unquestionable icon, is still not back to 100% after injury. Lewandowski himself admitted, "Let's not fool ourselves, I was injured for 2 weeks. But the season just started, and it's very long. I wasn't under pressure to play as many minutes as possible right away. August is the perfect month to get back in rhythm. Everything really begins in September, so I knew I had to take it slow, no rush. The season is long, you need to see it as a whole. But I'm happy to be 100% fit now. We'll see how I feel and how intense the games get. I expect a tough start, just like last year, and we need to be ready for it. I prefer focusing on quality, not quantity, so let's keep talking about that. I also know the intensity is high right now, so all of us will need rest." Dani Olmo and Fermin Lopez were also tested, without success. Without consistent goals, even simple wins seem out of reach. And Flick knows, a Barcelona without goals is a vulnerable Barcelona. The numbers deceive. Barca is still unbeaten, just 2 points behind Real Madrid. On paper, there is no crisis. But Flick doesn't just look at the table. He sees the lack of rhythm, the lack of consistency, the lack of identity. And that is the greatest threat to the project that once looked so promising. The international break is not just a pause on the calendar. It is Flick's last chance to reorganize his team. Fortunately, Barca has a history of coming back strong after FIFA dates. Last season, after a bitter run of defeats, they returned with a vengeance. Stronger, sharper, ruthless. Now, the expectation is the same. Because what we saw against Rayo was not the confident, dominant Barcelona. It was a team lost, on red alert. If Barca does not return stronger, the season could be lost before it even begins. And fans are already starting to wonder, does Flick really have control of the locker room? Recently, he called out the players over the issue of ego, warning that it could be a silent enemy of success. But what is really happening inside the dressing room? Flick's warning wasn't just about one game. It was a message for the entire season. Barcelona can no longer rely on reputation or individual talent. They need full commitment and teamwork. Without it, the risk is not only losing La Liga, it's losing the identity of a club that has always lived on intensity, possession, and pride. So, we return to the opening question. What did Flick really mean when he locked the dressing room for 25 minutes? The answer is simple and brutal. He no longer trusts his team's total commitment, and without that, there will be no trophies. The crisis is still silent. But with every draw, with every drop in intensity, the sound grows louder. The question isn't if Barcelona will react. The question is, will they react in time? I believe they will. Because this is still Barcelona, and Barcelona doesn't give up. What do you think? Comment below.